Everyone, in today's class, we shall see some more operations using NumPy, that is matrix operations. And then we'll move on to the next module, matplotlib, which is helpful for plotting the data. So as a first part, first, since we are using NumPy module, we must import the NumPy module in the short form as NP. So import NumPy as NP. I must run this cell, otherwise I will not get any output in any of the cells. It will give an error. NP is not recognized. So first let me run this cell. Okay. So now I have written it syntactically correct. So it has not given any error. So in order to illustrate the various matrix manipulations, I have considered one matrix. I have formed an array. See, matrix is nothing but list of lists or array of arrays. So here I have taken four lists, and I have formed within the square brackets like this, so that it forms a 4x3 matrix. So when I run this and asking it to print, I get a matrix, which is the organization of the lists or NP arrays in the form of a matrix. The whole thing enclosed within these square brackets represents a matrix of dimension 4x3. So how we can access the various rows or columns? First, let us see how we can access the columns. To access any column, so we can access any column and write it as a different column vector. So here I am designating a column vector capital D1 after accessing the 0th column of the matrix A. So to access the 0 column, this is the syntax A, and then within square brackets, colon, comma, 0. So 0 represents the column number. So the 0 is the first column of the matrix, which is 2, 4, 6, 8. And I've also extracted the next column, that is column number 1, and then column number 2. And all these I have designated as D2 and D3. And then I'm printing D1, D2, D3 with the designation D1, string designation D1 colon, D2 colon, and D3 colon. So if I execute this, I get the matrix D1, which is the first column extracted and written like this. Okay. So similarly, the second column, it is this second column 3, 5, 7, 9 is extracted here. And then the third column is 9, 8, 5, 4. This is how we can access the columns and do further any manipulations are there. So suppose I want to access multiple columns, then you enclose with this single element I have written now, that you enclose it within a square bracket and give whatever the column numbers you want to access it. So here I have written A matrix, then colon, comma. I want to access the 0th and the first columns. So I have written within square bracket 0, comma 1. And that extracted columns I have designated with a matrix DX. So if I run this, I get the two columns 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 5, 7, 9 extracted and designated as a matrix DX given in this form. Okay, that is how we access the columns of a matrix. Next, how to access the rows of a matrix. So for rows of a matrix, simply enclose the row number within the square bracket of the matrix that you want to extract it from. So here I have taken all the four rows 0, 1, 2, 3 of the matrix A and designated by different vectors B1, B2, B3, B4. And I've given the statements to print those matrix vectors with the designation. Okay, so first row is 2, 3, 9. First row is 2, 3, 9, 4, 5, 8, 6, 7, 5, and 8, 9, 4. These are the 4 rows which are extracted. If you want to extract multiple rows, you just give the row numbers within the square bracket and enclose that quantity within another set of square brackets for the matrix from which you want to extract. Here I am extracting the 0th and first rows, which are 2, 3, 9, and 4, 5, 8, and that forms a new matrix Bx. Okay, this is how we extract the columns and rows. Next, matrix multiplication. In the previous class, I have shown that how to multiply two arrays. And when we multiply two arrays, it was element wise. If you remember, the multiplication was element wise. So we cannot do that type of multiplication for matrices. Matrices is a different way in which the multiplication is performed. And you know that to multiply two matrices, the columns of the first matrix, number of columns in the first matrix must match with the number of rows of the second matrix. So here I have considered two matrices A and B. A is a 2 by 4 matrix given by this, and B is a 4 by 2 matrix. To multiply these two matrices, the function from the NumPy library is dot. So np dot dot of, within this curved brackets, you give the names of the matrices you want to multiply. And here I have given the print statement directly instead of assigning the product to one more matrix variable name and then printing that variable name. Directly I have given the print statement. So let me see B comma A, product of B matrix with A. Is it dimensionally compatible? B is a 4 by 2 matrix. A is a 2 by 4 matrix. What is the resultant matrix dimension? Anyone answer?
2
4 by 2.
4 by 4. Okay. So this is the 4 by 4 matrix that we get after multiplying.
2 cross 2.
Why 4 cross 2? This is 4 cross 2 into 2 cross 4. So outermost 4 cross 4. Still doubt? Now if I do A comma B, if I take the dot function for A comma B, A is 2 by 4, B is 4 by 2. Now I'll get a 2 by 2. Okay. So to multiply the matrices, use this function dot. Okay. Next, to take the transpose of a matrix, you just take the matrix you want to transpose, then dot, and then capital T. So now I've taken a different array, different matrix formed out of these arrays 2, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I'll print that A and then print the transpose also. So this is the matrix A, which is 2 by 4. When I transposed it, it became 4 by 2. Okay. So this is how we get the transpose. Any doubts? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, next, matrix inverse. So to get the matrix inverse, we make use of this function linalg dot inv. This whole thing is an NumPy function which takes the inverse of the matrix that is defined within this curved brackets. Okay. So now I have taken an array matrix given by ARR and formed it using the NP array. These are the two lists which forms the NP array. I'll print that array and also the inverse of it. Let me print that array also. Okay. So this array is a 2 by 2 matrix. This forms a 2 by 2 matrix. When I take the inverse, this is what I get. How to know whether this is correct or not? Either we have to calculate it or multiply with the original array. We get what is the resultant of multiplication of inverse with the original array? Anybody remember? Suppose if A is the matrix, A multiplied by A inverse.
1.
In a unit matrix, is it not? Correct. 1 on the diagonal and 0s on the half diagonal elements. So to test whether this is the inverse, I'll just take this and multiply with the original array. Let me see what I get. So I'm directly printing that result. NP dot, then dot of inverse array and ARR. Take the product of these two and print the result. You observe the diagonal elements. It is 1.000, that is 1, whereas the half diagonal elements are e power minus 16, that is, it is 10 to the power of minus 16. It's a very small value. It's approximately, you can say that that is 0. So this is a unit matrix which we got after multiplying the original array and its inverse. Okay. So whether you do this way or the other way, you get the same result. See, I multiplied the array with the inverse here inverse with the array. So these are floating points, diagonal elements, and the half diagonal elements are 0. Okay, so this is another example where it is a 3 by 3 matrix, and the inverse is, this is the inverse. Whether it is correct or not, you observe here all the diagonal elements are 1.000 into e to the power of 0 is just 1. And all the half diagonal elements are 10 to the power of minus 15. 10 to the power of minus 15, 15, 16. So all these are nearly 0. Okay, that is how we get the inverse of the matrix. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next, let us take another thing called slicing. Slicing of a matrix means you just pick up the required rows or required columns. So maybe it is required to pick up the data which is available in a certain number of columns and do further processing, or which is available in certain number of columns and pick it up and do further processing. We can do it in two ways. One is using this colon, and another one is using the function slice function. Okay, so let me explain it how to do it using colon. So its syntax is the matrix which you want to slice, and then within square bracket give the start and stop. Okay, start and stop. It will pick the item from start up to stop minus 1. Okay, and then gives the new array with the sliced elements from the original array. Okay, so first let me explain this first function. So I formed the matrix A using these 4 lists. So this is our matrix A. Now I'll form a matrix B1 which is sliced from matrix A. Starting element is 1 and ending element is 3, but it will not go up to 3. Instead, it is 3 minus 1. So those are the rows which are picked up. Starting from row number 1 to, it stops at row number 3 minus 1. That is, it picks up row number 1 and 2. So what is row number 1? In Python, matrices will have indexes starting from 0, whereas our conventional matrices starting index is 1. So here matrix, here the row with index 1 is 4, 5, 2, 1. It has picked it up. And the next one is 3 minus 1, that is 2, that is 6, 7, 8, 7. So these two rows are sliced and taken out. Okay, so that is how we take the rows. Suppose next A within square bracket start and then colon. This colon will indicate from start up to the end of all the rows has to be picked up. So here I have given A into A then within square bracket 1 colon. So it starts from row number 1 and it goes up to the end of the matrix, all the rows. So you observe here row number 1, 2, 3 is third one is the last row. It has picked up all the rows and taken it as a separate thing. So next here, starting from beginning. So this syntax, colon at the beginning itself indicates that it will start slicing from row number 0 and it goes up to 3 minus 1, that is stop minus 1. So 0 is 2355, goes up to 6787. Okay, so this is how we get this slice. And suppose you want to get the whole of the matrix, just put a colon within the square bracket and take it. So that is nothing but a copy of it. Okay. So now we want to pick up the rows in a after certain steps. So this is starting index, ending index, and then the step. Let me execute this. So starting index is 0. So first one it has printed. Then ending index is 5, but it has to be in steps of 2. So after picking up the 0th one, next one is 6787, and then it no more rows exist. So it is taken 2355 and 6787 and formed the new matrix B5. Okay. Did you understood this slicing using the colon? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No,
ma'am.
Okay. Next, you can even use negative index. So negative index is start from the last. So row wise, this is the -1 row, then -2 row, -3 row, and this is the row number with -4. That is the index given if you start from the end. So you can even use negative index for slicing. So here A of -2 means it will take -1 and -2 and write it as a separate matrix. Okay. So here -4 to -1. -4 is what? -1, -2, -3, -4, and -1. So it will start at stop at -2, I think, like this. So it starts from -4, that is 2355, and stops at 1 less than the higher value, that's 6787. So that is how we make use of the negative index also. Next, using the command slice. So we can use the command slice to slice instead of the colon. It takes the syntax like this. Give the matrix you want to slice, and then within square bracket, slice, and then within curved bracket, give the starting and ending rows as a tuple. Okay, so here 1 to 3, that is 3 minus 1. It stops, it picks up the row numbers 1 and 2 and does the thing. So row number 1 is 4, 5, 2, 1, and 6, 7, 8, 7. Okay. So similar to the previous one, start from 0, end at 4 minus 1 in steps of 2. Start from 0, 0th one, next first one will not print, then the second one, second row, row with index 2. And suppose if it is confusing for you to put, skip the either starting value or ending value, you just write none in place of that. See, suppose I want to put it as this, what it will give. So it will start from 0 and ends at 3 minus 1, that is 2. 3 minus 1, is it correct? 3 minus 1 is 2, that is 6, 7, 8, 7. So suppose if it is confusing for you, you can write none in place of that and proceed. You get the same thing. Okay, so the same thing here, I will done it. So suppose start, stop, both you want to just make it none, means starting from 0, ending up to the end of the thing with a negative -1, it reverses the whole thing. It has reversed the whole thing. See, this -1 has come here, then first one has gone to the last one. So this reverses it. Okay, is the slice clear to you? You take some example and apply it until you apply it and make changes and execute it, you will not understand it completely. But do you have any doubts here? Any doubts? Mandara, Aishwarya? Who
No,
else?
ma'am.
No? Shall I proceed with the next topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this NumPy, already I think I have sent the previous class notes. At the end of the notes, I have given a website URL where you can get the documentation for NumPy module, where the functionality of NumPy is not limited to what I have explained here. It has still more capabilities. You can explore it, or as you start developing your own projects, you can refer to that and use many more functionalities that are available in NumPy documentation, and you can develop yourself. Okay. So next, let me share the matplotlib module example. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Matplotlib.
ma'am.
Okay. So along with NumPy, import NumPy, we have to import matplotlib if we want to use the plotting facilities that are available with the matplotlib. So that matplotlib has got pyplot. So to get those pyplot from matplotlib, import matplotlib.pyplot in a short form PLT. So instead of writing this whole thing and then the plot function, just make it a short form. It is called alias PLT. So where we used NP for NumPy module, no, just like that, whenever we want to use matplotlib pyplot functions, just put PLT dot and then the remaining whatever is available with that. So here you just don't worry about this last line. I'll explain when we start with the example. Okay. So this warnings and these two lines, you just don't worry now. I'll make this also a comment line. So import NumPy because NumPy I want to generate a sinusoidal signal and then show you how to plot it. That is why I'm importing this NumPy. And then to plot those functions, I have taken the matplotlib pyplot as PLT. So initially, I am just plotting one x. First, I'm generating an array of numbers from -10 to +10 with a linear spacing. So -10 to +10, -10, -9, -8, like this, go up to +10. So that forms a X array. Then I'm generating one function y1, taking the square of each element of this X to illustrate the plot. So y1 is our function, which is X square. Okay. Now I'll plot this using matplotlib. Don't worry about these comment lines. One by one, I'll open and explain it. So first I'll give plt.plot, then what I should plot in the x-axis, then what I should plot in the, I take in the y-axis. Give it in the order x-axis, comma, y-axis. Variable name from which I have to pick the data for x-axis, and the variable name from which I have to pick the data for the y-axis. Plt.plot x, comma, y1. So this plots y1 versus x. X will have values from -10 to 10 in steps of 1. I have not defined the steps here. I can even give the how many number of points I wanted between -10 to +10. That I'll explain in the next example. So now from minus 10 to plus 10, x-axis will be marked from minus 10 to plus 10. And then y1 is generated using this function that will be plotted. MP is not defined because I did not run this cell. Did you observe? This is the first cell that I executed. So this is marked 1 because I did not execute this. It is not recognizing what is this NP. Followed? So I must run this cell. Whenever you encounter this, you have not run the cell containing import numpy as NP. So that is why that error. Now I'll execute this. So now you see here, y1 is equal to x square is a plot given like this from minus 10 to plus 10. Okay, when it is minus 10, it is 100. When it is plus 10 also, it is 100. When it is 0, it is 0. Okay, so this is one plot. Suppose I want to add one more plot, which is cube of that. So I'll open this. So I have another signal y2, which is a cube of this x, that is x cube, and I'll plot that also. Okay, and before that, I can give different color to this, and even I can name what this curve is. Okay, so how to give the color? By default, anyway, it is blue. First one is blue, but I can give a different color also. But let me not change it now, or I'll change it to black. Within quote, define K, that is the symbol for black. You can refer to the matplotlib user guide here and get what are the various letters representing the different colors. Then I label this. Label is equal to, this is x square. Okay, x square. So if I run this now, so now the color has changed. And this label is not the label given for either x-axis, y-axis, or the title. This label is given to this curve, which we can use it to represent it in the legend, so that when we have multiple plots in a single graph sheet, we will be able to identify which plot is what. Okay. So now let me plot the second one also, y2, x comma y2. This I will take green color for this and label it as x cube. So I'll plot it. Okay. So the green colored one is x cube. You can even specify this. These two are now solid lines. Instead of solid line, you can use different markings also. So I can plot it with this asterisk marking. So this has to be within the quote. Okay. Now its color is, because the syntax is after the color, it has to be green with asterisk. Okay. Now it is green and it is marked with the star. So this is the square and this is the green. Let me also plot one more plot, which is the to the power of 4. Each point on this X list is raised to the power of 4, and it is plotted plt dot plot. X-axis is X, Y-axis is Y3, and it is in red color, making use of this plus sign, and label it as X power 4. These are not appearing on the graph, but they will appear when I include a legend for this. Okay, is this clear now? How to get the plot? Plt dot plot, then x-axis, y-axis. Then if you want to have a different color than the default, then label it. And even you can even change the line width. Line width is equal to, say, I'll make it as 2.5. By default, it is about 2 or 1.5. you got this black one thicker than the previous one. I'll make it as 3. Still thicker. Got it? All the 3 plots I have got it, but I want to put X label or Y label. To include the X label and Y label, PLT dot X label, then write whatever you want to label it as a string. So now I am plotting, labeling x-axis as x in seconds. Then I can continue on the same line with a semicolon. This will treat it as a whose audio is not muted. Hello? Okay, so this Y label, instead of writing in the next line, I'm writing on the same line with the semicolon here. It will treat it as a separate statement. So PLT dot Y label, then write whatever you want to label the Y axis as. Now Y axis is in, say, let us suppose all these are current values, Y in abs. Okay, then if I execute it, you will see here that this is labeled X and Y in abs. Then I can even give a title to this. This is the current signals. So that appears here. All these things you are already familiar in your MATLAB class during DSP. So I think I can fast do that. Only thing is here it is plt.plot because we are using matplotlib module. Then now let me include a legend indicating what each curve represents. So that is given by plt.legend. This legend will appear only if you have given the label in the plot function, plot statement. Okay, if you have not given the label here, it will not appear when you execute it. So now here, see, black one is x square, green star is x cube, and this curve with plus sign is x power 4. So you can even show the grid by plt.grid and then parentheses. So this is the default grid color, which is gray, and this makes the graph look better. Okay, so sometimes we also have to include this plt.show, otherwise plot will not appear. Anyway, in this version, even without that, the plot is appearing, no problem. Okay, is this basics of plotting clear? Anybody? Answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me take this second. Huh? Any doubt? So who said no? Shall I proceed or not?
Yes, ma'am. You can proceed, ma'am.
So let me take the second example where I'll plot a sinusoidal and cosine signal. So for x-axis, I've taken time as t, which is linear spacing between minus 0.02 to plus 0.02, and in between 100 points between these two limits. Okay, so that my curve will be very smooth. Afterwards, I'll execute with less number of points, and what happens to the curve you can visualize. So this is a sine function with 2 pi ft. This pi I'm picking up from np, so np dot pi value. Then f frequency I have given 50, so that this 0.02 20 milliseconds is the one cycle. So from minus 0.02 to plus 0.02, I'll have 2 full cycles, and then the time t. Then print. Suppose if I want to know the values of this, I can give print y, which will give you the values of this sine listing of 100 points from minus 0.02 to plus 0.02. Then I'm giving plt.plot t comma y, that is x-axis is t, y-axis is y, and then label it as sine of 2 pi ft in string. Okay, just don't write it without this quote. It will consider it as something else. You will get a wrong error. So include this within quotes so that it prints it as it is as a string. Then take another function y1, which is the cosine of the same 2 pi n, 2 pi of t. Then plot that plt dot plot t comma y1, then label it as cos of 2 pi f t and show the grid. And then these things I'll explain later. First, let me make them comment. Okay, next plot plt dot legend. So if I execute this, so first I've asked it to print y. So you got these 100 values. You can check the values. And here is the plot of sine and cos functions here. So now you see here the x-axis origin is here. Y-axis is to the left. So x and y-axis are to the left, to the bottom and left respectively, but it doesn't look good. We cannot easily recognize which point is what. No, so we want to shift this x-axis to the middle of this graph and y-axis also to the middle of this graph, so that the intersection of this x and y, that is the origin of the axis, will come here. Okay, this is the x and y0 intersection. So to do that, what we can do is, so these lines are called spines. The grid lines are called spines. So shift this bottom spine to the middle of this graph. What is that middle of the graph? It is the data 0 of this y data. Okay. And also shift the y-axis to the middle of the graph, which is the point 0 point of the data, which is on the x-axis. Okay. So now let me snap this print y. Now that is done by these statements. Plt dot axis, that is we want to access the x and y axis, and then spines, that is those lines. Which line? Enclose it within square bracket, the bottom line. First I want to shift the bottom line, and where I want to shift dot set position, set underscore position will set the position where within curved bracket. Give the position as a tuple. First you give where, that is 0.0 of the data. Okay, so bottom spine, set it to the position of data 0 position. Let me execute this. So you got this bottom line shifted to the middle. So don't worry about this. I'll explain this. What is this warning? Next, similarly, shift the left spine. Plt dot axis dot spines left, and set the position to data 0. If I do that, even that is shifted to data 0 point. But the graph is looking ugly because the leftmost line is removed, the bottom line is also removed. So it is incomplete box. So to put those two lines back, simply lines, take this plt dot ax horizontal line, ax h line within bracket, y is equal to, where you want to put it, y limit 0. See, y has got limit 0 to, so this is y limit 0 to 40. So minus 0.02 to plus 0.02. So y limit 0 to the leftmost, I want to put a line, horizontal line. Bottom one. Y limit 0 is bottommost with a color K means black. So this will put that here. So instead of y limit 0, you can, if you want to shift it to any other point also, you can give it 0.01. Maybe this has to be properly calculated. Okay, you just do as an homework. So this is put a line at y limit 0. Similarly, I must put a vertical line at x limit 0. So AX vertical line, ASV line, within bracket x is equal to PLT dot x limit 0 and color is equal to black. Okay. So now the graph is complete, enclosed within box, and the axis also properly placed so that we can easily recognize the various points on this. Here, this is a warning message that has come here due to version changes. So this you can suppress by giving the functions import warnings and then warnings dot filter warnings. Ignore this warning. If you run this cell and go back here and run this cell, you will not have that warning message appearing, because that is not a warning due to the mistake you have committed. It is due to the version change that of this Python software. Okay. So the same thing I have done here for the, this is an extra line, I'll cut it. So now in this plot, as you move this cursor, you can't make out what the reading of this. You can make it as an interactive plot by giving one more function here that is called magic function in Python. That is percentage matplotlib notebook. Okay, so run this cell and let me run this also. So now you see this graph is interactive. So you can see at the bottom. So you can shift left, right, or you can pan this graph. So as you pan it, you observe here the X and Y axis markings also get modified. So previously, to get the original plot, it was from -10 to +10. So if I move it, see it has increased. So that is what is the interactivity of this graph. And the y-axis also gets modified if you shift it like this. And another thing is you can zoom a part of the graph by taking this zoom and put a rectangle over the portion you want to zoom and observe what is the readings or how the curve changes. And you can even get the readings as you move this cursor over the graph. You get the X and Y coordinates on the bottom right corner of this plot. So you see here, now this is X is equal to minus 9.63 and the corresponding value of Y is given by 8.44 into 10 to the power of 3. So like this, as you move along the plot, you get the X and Y coordinates displayed. It gets modified as you move it along the curve. So to illustrate the next graph, you must disable the interactive nature of this first graph. Let me run this cell. So now this sine and cos signals are now in an interactive window. So you can do the same thing here as you move here. See, this is the sine 0 and this sine of maximum, which is 1, because I have just taken sine 2 pi of t. Amplitude is 1. So this is cos. Okay. So value is 1 at x is equal to 0. And this is value is 1 at x is equal to 5 milliseconds. Okay. So this, and you see the legend here. The blue one is sine of 2 pi of t and the orange one is cos of 2 pi f t. And you can even download and save the image. You can download image as, save it as, okay, making use of this function. So that is about matplotlib. What little basics you need to apply it to signals and systems. For further more functionality of this, so you can have multiple graphs in a single page by using subplots or using grid specifications. Subplots you have used in your DSP classes, where we arrange the plots in the form of a grid having number of columns and number of rows, but all were of equal dimension. You can even have different dimensions for each window in these subplots. How to do it, I have explained it in this YouTube video. You can access it here. I have given the link at the bottom of this. That is specified by grid spec. So you can have the first plot occupying the whole of the top page, and then the next row divided into 2, or next one divided into 3. Each one having its own dimensions. You can organize the plots in that way, making use of this grid spec function. So that is about today's portion. You have any doubts in this matplotlib part? You want me to explain anything once again? Anybody? Who is present? Nobody is answering. Why? Aishwarya? Ajay?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Ajay? Not present?